Oh my goodness, guys, I lost so much work. But it's okay, we're gonna remake it. We're gonna remake everything, we're gonna make it perfect. It was my best work that I've made so far, but we can do it better. For those of you not on the Discord chat, I recorded half of this, including sound effects and everything, and then the file got corrupted, so I'm having to redo all of this. I hope my voice box can take it. Okay. So guys, welcome to the final episode of Slayers, the Ruby Eye, Chapter 4, Part 3. Seriously, you morons, we've got all the time in the fucking world to kill each other, and whilst you're too busy distracted fighting each other, there's a bigger enemy out there who could be anywhere.
The young lady does not know how right she is.
Rezo!
I felt something sharp and cold move up the back of my neck. I instinctively knew, if I were to move, I would die.
Yes, sorry for not keeping in touch. Let us skip the normal formalities. You know why I'm here, don't you, Gowrie?
You want the stone?
Yes, I want the stone, as you disrespectfully call it. And I'm certain you already understand, but let me spell it out for you. If you were to try anything rash, so much as sneeze unexpectedly, I might just move forward a tiny little bit, and any motion, no matter how small, would be enough to drive this needle through this lovely girl's neck, killing her instantly.
I felt cold panic wash through me. My heartbeat began to crash against the inside of my ribcage. As I realised the severity of the situation, I was like a rabbit, frozen in the jaws of a fox. If I were to move, it would be my doom. But if I were to stay, it would be my death too. I didn't want to die.
Don't give it to him, he's bluffing!
Shrieked Zelgadis. That bastard was willing to sacrifice me for the stone! Zelgadis knew better than anyone that Rezo's threats weren't empty. Okay, so I know at this point, they say I started crying. I definitely was not crying. I was just sweating a lot. Yeah. Yeah, sweating. Not crying.
Tell me what you want with the stone.
Gowrie commanded.
The girl explained to you earlier. I merely want to see the world with my own two eyes. Is that really so awful?
You're really willing to kill people just so you can see.
Shh. Keep calm now. You do not wish for me to slip. A sighted person like yourself could not possibly understand.
He tightened his grip on me.
Now give me the stone.
Fine.
Stop! No! Don't give it to him!
Gowrie, ignoring Zelgadis, dropped his blade. He then produced the Ori Halcon statue from his breastplate,
Here. Take it.
tossing it towards Rezo. As the form arced through the air, time seemed to slow down. He caught it in an outstretched hand.
I've got it! I've actually got it!
He said to himself, more than anyone else.
After all these years, it's finally...
Something in his voice had changed.
You have it. Now let the girl go.
Never fear, I shall release her.
It had happened again, but before I could really dwell on it, the Ori Halcon statue shattered. The overwhelming power of the world's greatest sorcerer, and the Philosopher's Stone must have been too much for it. Rezo sifted through the shards in his palm, and produced a dull-looking piece of coal? A geologist wouldn't look twice at that thing. How can that be the
Yes. This is it.
He stood there for a moment, toying with the rock with his fingers. With a sudden jerk, I was pushed hastily to the ground. I reached up with trembling hands to find the needle still protruding from my neck. I gritted my teeth and pulled. I looked down at the object in my hand and felt my stomach churn. The pain hadn't been too bad. But this needle, it was more like a razor-sharp scalpel, the blade about 4 inches long, designed to neatly slip between my vertebrae, severing my nerves. Custom designed to either make me dead or paralysed for the rest of my life. This fucker's nothing like the stories! As soon as I was no longer in immediate danger, Gary had drawn his sword and Zolgala started chanting a spell under his breath. But with one unexpected deft movement, Rezo popped the stone in his mouth and swallowed.
Wait, why did he...
Before Gary could finish his sentence, a strong gust of wind came out of nowhere. It hit me like a typhoon, catching in my cloak and dragging me backwards. But worse than the pressure was the smell. It was fetid and putrid. No, smell's the wrong word. It wasn't my nose detecting this, it was my very being. It was like getting hit by a rolling wave of fear and pestilence, disorientation and nausea, pure corruption. Something had gone very, very wrong with the world. It was the physical manifestation of an intense malice. And in the centre of it all, Rezo stood there, laughing alone.
I can see! I can finally see!
Before I could steady myself, a blast of energy tore past me towards the epicenter of the corruption. Zolgala had unleashed a spell I had never seen before. A swirling pillar of blue flame engulfed Rezo, obscuring him completely.
How does that feel, you bastard?
But as the flames cleared, it was obvious. He hadn't even noticed. He just stood there, staring down at his hands as the flames burnt out around him. He turned his face in our direction, and I was mesmerised. We all were. He stared at us from eye sockets, holding orbs with eyes deeper and redder than a sea of blood, deep enough to drown in, or to lose your mind staring into. Inhuman and unworldly, lit by hellfire.
My eyes are open. They have been opened.
As he stared at us, the flesh of his cheeks began to bubble and slop onto the ground. Oh, gods!
What's happening to him?
As the soft flesh of his face dripped away, something white was revealed.
Will someone explain what's going on?
I knew what was happening, but confirming my suspicions out loud would make everything just too real. We stood there in awe and horror, as Rezo's face transformed into a white mask, beset with 2 unblinking eyes of ruby. His body still covered in his red robes, hardened into something that wasn't human anymore.
I don't believe it. This can't be happening.
It sounded like Zolgada recognized what was sealed behind Rezo's eyes too.
What is happening?
Zolgada ignored Gary's plea, which annoyed me. If we were going to die, he at least deserved an explanation, even if he didn't understand it. Damn it, Gary. His face whipped round, his blue eyes locked on mine. That's the Dark Lord Shabanigdo! His face didn't show any sign of recognition, and he continued to stare at me. Fucking hell, Gary, you idiot!
Lena?
What?
Thank you.
For what, you moron? He smiled at me and turned back to the carnage. That guy makes no sense. I had just insulted him and he was thanking me. An unnatural silence had fallen over the land. The birds had stopped singing. The river had stopped babbling. It was as if all of creation had stopped in order to bear witness to this. A gurgling, echoing voice emanated from the being once named Rezo.
You may choose the path of desire.
It said calmly, its marble mouth fixed open in a horrifying gape.
as a sign of gratitude, for you have helped restore my life. However, if you choose me as an enemy, then I will show no mercy. Make the choice wisely. I intend to release the Demon Lord of the North, another aspect of myself.
I didn't have to turn around. I could feel Gary's eyes on me.
It's not exactly what you call an easy choice. If we let him release the Demon Lord of the North, then that's basically condemning the world to destruction. And to fight him is to take on one of the 7 aspects of the Demon Lords. And he's only in 7 aspects because a god, a literal god, Gary, used every ounce of its power in doing so. A ragtag bunch of sorcerers and warriors aren't likely to fare well. So the question is, Gary, do you want to face probable death now? Or sit and watch the world burn around you and die later?
Are you done pointing out the obvious?
Oi, go eat a bag of dicks. I wasn't talking to you.
This is foolishness.
Zolf belted out.
Oh shit, I forgot they were here.
Oh, yeah. They kind of just faded into the background, didn't they? Weird.
Zolf, showing no appreciation for the weight of the situation, continued on.
Lord Shabanigdo, humans aren't how you remember them. We've had thousands of years to evolve, and you stay stagnant.